Hi, I'm Rachael Power, Community Correspondent of AccountingWEB.co.uk, and I'm here with software guru and AccountingWEB editor John Stokdyk to discuss our Software Satisfaction Award shortlist results. We'll also be announcing the winners in this video after we've gone through the runners and riders and a few key themes, but we only will do that on 7th of November, and we'll add it at the end of this video. Sage 200, Access, SAP Business One, Pegasus NetSuite, Exchequer, Carrera Resource 3000, and Microsoft Dynamics GP. I'll ask you, first of all, John, how do you read the Cloud v Client server dynamic in these voting patterns? So Aquila on fringes alongside NetSuite, which has a substantial vote, and the Sage 200 moving to hybrid platform strategy.
That's a tough call. This market, the mid-range market, isn't so so cloud focused as the small business area. So where small business was about 47% cloud, the sample here actually brought the overall server share down to 42%. So that means ERP is less, so it's probably below 40% because they're much bigger, more complicated installations. I think NetSuite is the main player there. We just out of the running we had Aquila, so that didn't quite. It only had fairly small, kind of it was double figures, but not that many users listed in there. So Aquila is in the undergrowth, but not up there battling out with the likes of Sage 200 or Access. Sage 200 is interesting because that is the traditional client server. You use it at a PC. Piece of ERP software, but Sage has announced they've now got a version of that, and it can operate on both. You can actually have a mix, a hybrid environment with that one, which is an interesting approach. I think we'll see that, and you think in ERP there are some, say, warehousing tasks you might and sales orders. So you've got some elements that might well want to be mobile and be able to kind of log in and use anywhere. But then maybe back in the finance department, or if you've got a warehouse manager, talk about warehouse, but there's some will be planning more desk bound, and you'd want more horsepower and storage capacity. So I think we'll probably see that model going on. Okay, well, Sage has got a big piece of the market there. That was 21%, and Access are hanging on in there too at 17%, so just breathing right down their necks. Exchequer, sort of in terms of market share, has dropped down our list a little, and Pegasus. I guess the surprising thing is SAP Business One, so which kind of that is one of the global ERP giants. They made a good showing in our sample. I mean, it's not a huge share. Where the small business accounts, we had nearly 5,000 people voting for those products. This section was less than 1,000, so it was about 779, if I remember correctly. So it is smaller. So SAP, it was the one global player. NetSuite's a big global player. I shouldn't dismiss them just because they are a lot newer than SAP. But no sign of Oracle. Almost barely one user out of, I think, 12,000 different votes. So Oracle has disappeared. So I think our local products are holding up, but it's interesting. I think we like to sort of get a bigger vote for ERP next year, just so we could actually, these are only indicative numbers. It's not really what the market share is, but it's just within the AccountingWEB community. That's kind of the breakdown. And as I say, it will be interesting to find out who's run off with the big prize.
Business Intelligence, Sage 200, Pegasus XRL, Access, and Cognos.
I guess the specialist BI developers didn't really make a big showing, or the big, we're talking about sort of apparent underrepresentation, except for the SAP Business One, of the giant suites, the Oracles, the MySAPs. Microsoft Dynamics GP made it into the ERP section, but not Navision, not Dynamics Nav as we now know it. So they weren't. Those are the companies that tend to own. SAP, Oracle, and IBM own all the big companies, and only Cognos of that kind of breed of specialist BI tool has made it into the AccountingWEB community. And in fact, this was a ridiculously small vote, again, out of 12,000 different product ratings, barely 200. So I don't know, maybe it was the recession and people couldn't invest in, you know, frills that they maybe weren't absolutely core to their accounts. But, you know, BI is still pretty much a minority interest amongst AccountingWEB members. So the ones that are making the big showing there is Sage 200, Pegasus XRL, and Access. Those are all, you know, people are rating the tools that kind of come packaged in or accompany the standard ERP system. So there's not a lot of people going an extra mile and doing really clever add-on, you know, data warehousing and online analytical processing. We don't see a lot of that in our community. I think specialist tools will come up into the universe, in particular intuitive business intelligence, which is a web-based tool that will kind of hook into any number of ledgers, CRM systems, different kinds. So it's a web application. It plugs into, you know, maybe your client server ERP system and the CRM, and gives you can sort of suck all the data in and then look at it in a very graphical way on the web. It was quite because of the way the voting went. You know, you had to get quite a big vote to contest it with the 4 that did make it through the shortlist. So intuitive business intelligence, definitely keep an eye out for them. And so that's a web-based tool. I think Pegasus we talked earlier about. That's quite interesting. Is that the Pegasus tool XRL is just all about taking the data from the ledgers and into Excel and analysing it there. And I think if we probably did a separate, and I'd like probably to do that, you could always do a separate analysis of all the people on our survey who said they used Excel tools. It might well make it into sort of this category on its own right, although whether it would get, you know, rated as highly as some of these specialist tools, I'm not so sure. But maybe I'll do that for Excel zone readers.